I'm Ray and this is TinyTableGames. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already and help this little Tiny Table Game channel grow. Today, I'm playing Cthulhu Wars Duel, a Sandy Petersen game by the Sandy Petersen Game Company, who is the original author of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, if you didn't know, partnered with Chaosium way back in the day, and that's how that all came to be. And then you might have heard of Cthulhu Wars, the large multi-tabletop spanning game with a zillion miniatures, but this is Cthulhu Wars Duel, which is kind of the same theme, but in a small little two-player setting without miniatures, just using little standees and much, much less table presence, but still actually a fair bit for just a two-player game. That said, let's get into it. So in Cthulhu Wars Duel, the base box, not counting any expansions, you can play as either Great Cthulhu or the Black Goat, with all of the appropriate minions, including Great Cthulhu and the big disgusting Black Goat, as they euphemistically call him in the books and on here. Each side both starts with 8 power. You can summon your little monsters via your cultists, which start on the board in those locations. It's preset. Those little icons around the map tell you where, if you were playing a different faction, much like in the large version of Cthulhu Wars, where they would start. And there's dice rolling for combat, but other than that, the goal is to increase your doom as high as you can go, up to 30, although you're likely going to get above 30 by the end of the game, depending. Or if the Ritual Annihilation track gets all the way up to instant death, which is, you know, usually a good place to stop a game. There's several phases to this game, but basically the idea is everything you want to do costs power, either 1 or 2, or depending, up to 4 or 5, it just depends, because that's the cost of doing a Ritual of Annihilation, up to 10 power as it gets close to the end of the game. And you take turns, one action, until everybody's out of power. Now, if one person runs out of power first, they have a little mechanic to make the other person, who can just go and go and go again, start costing a lot more with something called the decay marker, which is a nice little mechanic for making sure that one person doesn't have too much of a runaway if the other person does something that costs a lot of power in one turn. But the basic idea is you run around, you do things to complete your spell books, which are right here. And each faction has unique spell books, and each spell book gives you additional powers. And the more powers you have, the more things you can accomplish. You can run around and open more gates with your cultists, and if a cultist is sitting on a gate, they control that gate. And during the Ritual of Annihilation, you get power from controlled gates. That's also where if you summon a monster or whatever, they pop out at a gate that you control. And then you can go battle the other guy's monsters in an effort to control the Arkham area. Now, about the map, a couple things of note. It's not as big as it looks, because this ocean area over here, the Mystic River, we got the Charles River, which is connected to the Jersey Reef via these little icons. So all of this area, this blue, is attached to this little blue section here. Then you've got the Mystic River, which is also attached to Loblolly Cove. And then up here you got Devil's Reef, which is attached to the Miskatonic River. So there's only 1, 2, 3 spaces total on here as they're together. So there's only a total of 5 water spaces on the entire map. And then of course you got the land areas, which are pretty straightforward. Now, because it's divided up into land and sea areas, but unlike mini games, land and sea areas are largely irrelevant, because when you look like this, you don't really care if it's on the ocean or on land. So it's all just treated as land, basically, for purposes of the game. That's why the cultists have their starting location is in the Jersey Reef, which if you've read some of the books, it makes sense to you, especially for it being Cthulhu. That said, Cthulhu always goes first. That's actually in the rules, and we will get started. So for Cthulhu's turn, notice that, let's see, the ways he can earn spell books are receive this in the first Doom phase, so that one's automatic. The next one is kill and or devour an enemy unit in battle. Kill and or devour 2 enemy units in battle. Control 3 gates in the oceans or 4 gates on oceans in sea areas. Awaken Cthulhu. And this must be the last faction spellbook you receive. It must be taken during the Doom phase. And once you get each spellbook, you can pick which spellbook comes into play as you do it, and each spellbook has different powers. Absorb, Submerge, Devolve, Regenerate. Let's see, what's this one? Dreams, and Yanathlea. Obviously, for those of you who don't speak Chthonian, you know. And over here for the Black Goat, scoot this over a little bit. Their spellbooks have 4 units in an area, have 6 units in an area, have 8 units in an area. As your action, eliminate 2 cultists from any area, which you can just basically sacrifice them, which it also gives you Doom or Power, I believe. I forget which. I'll look it up. Share an area with your enemy, both be in the same location, or awaken the Black Goat, Shub Niggurath. And then his spellbooks are Garoth, Necrophagy, the Red Sign, Blood Sacrifice, Frenzy, and the Thousand Young. So each of those will have an in-game ability. And once you get to all 6, the game really starts hopping, as you might imagine, because there's a ton of powers. So as you start out, you basically, they have a really good rule summary on the back there. You've got several actions you can take. You can only take 1 each, and then it goes to the other side, back and forth till you're out of power. And then it goes to the gather power, Doom phase, and then you start over again. And just back and forth like that. So pretty much the interesting thing about this game is a lot of the information's on this sheet. The rest of it's on there. Phases of Play short book, and most of this rather lengthy rule book is just going into a lot of detail about all the possible permutations of things you can do in the game and how it's going to affect how it plays. So it's a lot of reading for a game that's just a 2-player little duel game, but by the time you get to the end of it, you don't really have many questions left. And the font's a nice size. I don't know if you remember the old Magic the Gathering rule book when it first came out, way back in the day, before anybody called it alpha or beta. It was just, oh look, Magic the Gathering, in those teeny tiny little rule books that used to print. I believe they did stop that eventually, but yeah, those were crazy. So for Cthulhu's first turn, we kind of want to spread some gates and control things in the ocean. So we're going to take, for the action, we are going to use some power to move a unit. So it takes a cultist to create a gate. You can't create gates with monsters. So we are going to move a unit for 1 power up from Salem to Arkham. Okay, for the first turn, Cthulhu here, he is powered on with 8, yes. The only thing I wish is that these things were not quite just the little paper wheel tokens that they are, because, man, they slide. This is ripe for some upgrades. I realize it's just a little 2-player game, so that's why it's not, but still. Let's see. So, Cthulhu needs to spread out and get some gates, preferably in the water, so he's going to burn 1 to move somebody to Loblolly Cove, and that's his turn. And over here, the Black Goat needs to spread units out too. That's how he gets spell books. So he's going to send a person to Arkham. Oh, although interestingly, he should probably send somebody into the Mystic River too. So he'll do that first. Because the Mystic River shares a space with Loblolly Cove. You can say, well, they can fight each other. Yes, they can, except acolytes have no combat power, so they don't roll any dice at all in combat. So they're just there to set up gates. So, but what that does do is share an area with your enemy. Both you and the enemy have units there. So that counts as sharing an area. So the Black Goat on his first turn gets his first spellbook. And he is going to take the Red Sign. That sounds useful. So what's the red side? Dark Young, which is these things, of which you have 3, can create and control gates. So besides your cultists, each Dark Young adds 1 to the Black Goat's combat and provides 1 power during the gather power phase. They do not act as cultists with respect to any other purpose. But that's pretty cool. Okay, so he's got his first spell book on his first move. Now we're back to Cthulhu, who is going to burn 3, I believe it is, to make a gate. Yep, with his cultist right there, so down to 4. And he creates a gate with the cultist. And the cultist automatically gets to stand on it, which is your indication of who's controlling that gate. Now that can be risky because an opponent's monsters can come by and, you know, eat that cultist basically, and you lose control of your gate. But we're early enough in the game that I don't think that'll be too much of a problem yet. I mean, you can summon monsters, certainly. But it takes the gate control, and monsters have a increasing cost. So, we'll see. All right, so it is over to the Black Goat now, who can't build a gate in this area because he got beat out by the cultist there of Cthulhu. So we need to move another cultist along, so we'll drop it to 6 because we got to keep fanning these guys out. And this guy's going to jump to Arkham. And that's his turn. Now back over to Team Cthulhu, and we will burn 1 more power to send a cultist to Rockport. Lucky Rockport, who's going to use another power to send a cultist into Miskatonic River, which is adjacent to their starting point, which gives him 1, 2, 3, 4 locations. So have a unit in 4 areas, triggers his next spell book. Which will be a Frenzy, which means all the Black Goat's cultists have a combat power of 1 now, so now they can actually fight. And against cultists, it'd be an easy win because the Cthulhu's cultists have 0 power. So that's not great for Cthulhu. So we're going to need to do something to protect these guys. So I was going to move up into Devil's Reef and start another, but I don't have enough power to do that this time. But we need to protect these guys because now those cultists have knives, basically. So we're going to have to summon somebody as a protector. So how that works is, on the sheet here, if you look, cultists are the lowest level. They normally have no combat capability. If there's a monster around, it protects your cultists. The only one who can get past a monster to eat your cultist is the Great Old One. And if the other Great Old One's there, then you still can't do it. So as long as you have a monster in the same location as your cultists, they can't be attacked by other cultists or monsters. So it's a kind of a, not even rock, paper, scissors, it's just a kind of a 0, 1, 2 effect. Yeah, maybe the best thing to do is provide a little support for now. So we'll just spend 1 power to summon the lowest tier monster, which is a deep one. That guy. Focus. And you got to put him somewhere where there's a gate. So we will put him right here in the shared region of Loblolly Cove and what is it? The Miskatonic River? Yeah, Mystic River. So now there's a cultist on a summoning area and a deep one. And that's it for Great Cthulhu. Now we're back to the goat. So we will burn that other one to move this guy out to Martin's Cove, that isolated sea space. So we are going to spend 1 to have this deep one capture this cultist who's in the shared space. So he goes right there, later to be sacrificed. So with his cultist captured, the black goat player needs to summon a monster. He's only got the one gate. We have enough power left to summon another gate, but we don't have the... that won't help protect us from the deep one. So the black goat needs to look out for its minions. Let's see, you could burn it all on a Dark Young. That's still just another monster, it's just a tough monster. But I think we'll go with the fungi from Yuggoth for 2 power, which drops him to 2. And that is this guy, which doesn't look like any fungus I've seen before. But nonetheless, he pops out here in Salem. And that's the end of the goat's turn. And Cthulhu has 1 power left, and you're supposed to burn through your power each round. You're not allowed to like save it for the next round unless you have some ability that lets you do that. So for 1 power, he can... Probably the best thing to do is summon another deep one and put it in the Jersey Shore. And that's it. So we're over to the goat. Go ahead and summon another fungi. Since with the Cthulhu team, they're already capturing people. Salem's looking kind of yucky right now. All right, so we're down to 0 power on both sides. So that takes us out of the action phase, and now we're into the gather power phase. So in the gather power phase, it's pretty straightforward. It is exactly what you'd expect. You get 1 power per cultist you have in play. So for the black goat, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cultists in play, so he gets 5 power for that. Cthulhu still has all 6, so he goes to 6 power. Okay. Earn 2 power per gate you control. So the goat controls 1 gate, so that takes him to 7. Cthulhu controls 2, so that takes him to 10. Gain 1 power for each abandoned gate. There aren't any abandoned gates. Earn 1 power for each captured cultist. Then you have to return the cultist. So you feed the cultist to Cthulhu for some power, and then he runs back to the pool of available things that the goat can summon again. And then check for any special abilities that may affect it, and no. Let's see, receive this spellbook in the first Doom phase, receive 1 Elder Sign. Okay, so that's the end of the power phase. Then you determine who goes first, and in this game, it's always whoever has the most power goes first. In this case, Cthulhu, once again, has quite the power advantage of 11 to 7 because he has that second gate. So, that ends the gather power phase. And now we go on to the Tournament Purse Flare, which we did, it's Cthulhu, and now the Doom phase. Now the Doom phase is when you can do the Ritual of Annihilation, which makes sense. And in the case of Cthulhu, receive this spellbook in the first Doom phase, receive 1 Elder Sign. An Elder Sign is a random little, basically free points. It's extra Doom that remains hidden throughout the game. The player can look, but we'll just keep it secret for now. It's just shuffled up. So you've got an Elder Sign, which can come in handy for various things, mostly for Doom at the end of the game. You can reveal it sooner if you want to, but why would you? Evolve, which is another skill. After any player's action, you may replace any number of your acolytes with the same number of deep ones. Huh. I think we're going to go with that one. All right, powers decided, got my spell book. So it is the Doom phase officially. Let's see. The first player gets to decide whether they're going to do a Ritual of Annihilation, and of course Cthulhu is going to do a Ritual of Annihilation. It'll cost him 5 because it's the first one, so that drops him to 6 power already, but it also increases the cost of doing the next one. You advance the ritual marker up the stack, check. Advance your Doom marker 1 space for each gate you control. So I get 2 Doom because I have 2 gates. So up here, Cthulhu goes to 2, while the goat is still on 0, and that's the decay marker for balancing out the 2-player effect. And now we're over to the goat. Does the goat want to do it? No, the goat wants to save his power for opening a few more gates before he starts messing with trying to do that. So we are going to spend 1 power to move a cultist out of Rockport and into the Gardner Reservoir. So that's Cthulhu. Back over to the goat, who still needs to spread. He also can summon another cultist, but first let's make a gate. 7654, and we will drop a gate right out here in the ocean, and the reason for doing that is it blocks Cthulhu from putting a gate up over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 total gates in the ocean. 3 of them are controlled by Cthulhu, so he gets to activate another spellbook. So we will put the dreams into play. It's an action that costs 2, where you get to swap out your cultist for another. And since that's the end of my action, I'm going to use the spellbook power and replace any number of your acolyte cultists with the same number of deep ones from your pool. Well, your pool's hard limited. I only have 2 deep ones left. So we're going to be replacing 2 people in the pool. I'm not going to give up the control of the gates, so 2 of these acolytes are going to become deep ones and hang out here in the Jersey Reef for the moment. Okay, nobody has any special spellbook abilities, because there are lots of those that can cause all kinds of havoc during a battle, but nobody has any of those yet. The next thing to do is do the combat dice calculations. Because these guys have a power of 1 now because of the cultists, spellbook power, and deep ones are also power 1, so it'll be 1 die versus 1 die. And basically, to kill something else in this game, you got to roll a 6. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you force them to retreat 1 location, and a 1, 2, or 3 is nothing at all. You just ignore it. So since he's the attacker, we'll roll for the deep one first versus the cultist. Nothing happens. The deep one does nothing. And the cultist fights back, of course, and also does nothing. Well, that was not a very exciting fight. 5 is going to move this cultist to Boston. Cue Dropkick Murphys going up to Boston. And we now have cultists in units in 6 areas, so we can activate another spellbook. And we will go with the 1,000 Young, which makes everything else cheaper to summon. Back into Gather Power. So Cthulhu goes to 8, Goat goes to 9. Nobody has abandoned gates, nobody's got special abilities for it, and nobody has any captured anything. So that's just it. So the black goat goes first this time, 9 to 8 power-wise. And does he want to do a Ritual of Annihilation? Yes, he does. So he will burn 6, which takes him down to 3, but it also means the cost is now 7. Up 1 space for each gate, so he ties the score. That's the end of the doom. The goat's still first, and so we're back to the action phase. Bring out another fungi from Yuggoth and plop it right here. So we will summon a Star Spawn, which has 3 combat dice, but also costs 3 to summon. So down to 5, but we will drop our Star Spawn right here. Let's see, he will use one of his powers to move this guy out of the ocean and into Arkham, so he can keep his cultists from getting kidnapped. Summon one of his acolytes back out, I think. We will do that. He'll burn his last power to bring out his last cultist and drop him back in Salem. So we will spend 1 to move the Star Spawn over here. And now it's over to the goat. Let's see, he has 0 power left, but he's not powerless because of the 1,000 Young spellbook. He can summon these 2 guys for free. So he will do a free summoning and drop this guy here. Okay, so we will spend 2, 3, 2, move, to summon a Shuggoth right here. Going to summon his other freebie guy. and drop him here at this other gate. See why gates are so important now, otherwise you can't drop these people out anywhere. Now it's back to Cthulhu, who will spend 1 to get the Shoggoth into Arkham. Now it's back to the goat. Well, it's still a freebie, so he's, as his action, eliminate 2 of your cultists from any area on the map. So he's going to kill 2 of his own cultists, which will hurt his power, but in exchange, he gets his 4th spellbook. Well, maybe. We'll do necrophagy, which basically means that the 2 ghouls, because you only got 2 of them total, if they're not in the battle, they can rush to the battle afterwards and cause issues. For Cthulhu's last turn, he is going to activate a battle here. So we've got these 2 guys versus these 2 guys. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, and 1. So it's 5 versus 3. Now there's no such thing as defense in this game, it just passes out hits. So, Cthulhu's roll, he gets 1 pain and 1 elimination. And generally it's up to the person receiving the damage to pick who gets to go. And in response, the goat's attack of, let's see, the fungi have 1, the cultist has 1 because of that, so they were actually rolling 2, not 3, sorry. They're not as combat heavy as Cthulhu is. So they get 1 pain, basically forces a retreat. All right, so the post-battle sequence, let's do this in the correct order so we don't mess up when the ghouls show up. Let's see, after counting up each side's battle results, assign the results to your own units. First, assign kills. Kills are always assigned first. You may use any post-battle abilities. And let's see, when does the necrophagy trigger? In the post-battle phase. Both you and your opponent suffer 1 additional pain result for each ghoul you move this way. Is that going to matter? Probably not. I don't think I'm going to move the ghouls at all this time because they're already suffering from 1, which means somebody's going to have to retreat. So we are going to get rid of the cultist because he's cheaper to summon than the fungi. So yoink, 1 cultist destroyed. So he goes back to the pool for the black goat. And that instantly triggers Cthulhu's next spellbook, kill and or devour an enemy unit in battle. We will put regenerate on the star spawn, basically. Assign up to 2 kill or pain battle results to the same star spawn. If 2 kills are applied, it's killed. Otherwise, it's only pained. Now it's assigning pains, which is forced retreats, basically. So this guy will retreat back to the ocean here and where the point is. So that takes care of that. And now his is triggered, and he will retreat back here to screen his cultist, and that's that. So in the gather power phase, Cthulhu wins by a mile. He's at 11 versus the black goat 7. Now we're on to the doom phase. So Cthulhu is not going to trigger a doom at this time, and neither is the goat. So it's going to cost most of the power, but we are going to summon Cthulhu. Cthulhu appears in its starting area. When he appears, gain 1 elder sign. So there's Cthulhu, obviously quite a bit bigger than everything else on the map, because hey, old one. And he get another elder sign. And that's the one big play for this turn for Team Cthulhu, but it's a heck of a play. Okay, so the black goat needs to do something cool. So he will summon for 2 a Dark Young. I think we will summon our final cultist, so everybody's out, and we will drop him here. He's going to spend 1 to drop in another cultist. Now it's over to Cthulhu, who has no 0 power abilities, and as a result, that raises the chaos or the decay thing by 1. So the very first thing that happens when the decay starts going up is, now that's back to the goat's turn, he has to pay the decay cost, so he immediately goes to 3 power. And he'll use 1 more power to summon another cultist. Cthulhu's not doing anything, so now the decay goes to 2. So it goes back to the black goat, and that taps him out immediately. And that's what the purpose of the decay is. is to make sure that nobody gets too many turns on their own. They get a little bit, but not a ton. So we're on to the gather power phase. He's in the lead again, and he gets to choose whether or not to do a Ritual of Annihilation. Let's see, so instead he will spend 1 point to move this guy up into Arkham also, the goat, who is going to start a gate down to 6 using this cultist right here. Going to spend 1 down to 10 to move his, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3. So he will move his star spawn over here. And now we're back to the goat, who will spend 2 to summon one of his additional critters right here. And now we're back to Cthulhu. So he'll move his second guy in. And now we're back to the goat, who will spend 1 to summon his final cultist and drop him into this location too. See, we're at 9. We'll summon the other star spawn for 3, drop him right here. We will spend 1 to move a cultist where? Over here. He was going to burn 1 movement point. Back to the goat. So we'll have that cultist flee that direction. So we'll use 1 to move a deep one with him over here. Actually, we'll use a second one since you can 1 per monster. So a second deep one's going to be moving 2. There. Just do that all at once. Down to 1. And he will move this guy into Arkham. We will trigger for 1. You want to trigger for 1? No, for 1 we're going to move the star spawn here. Move this guy over to Kingsport. So he will trigger a battle now for 1 in this region. 5 combat dice on behalf of the black goat. 3, 4, 5. So let's see how they do. 1 pain and nothing else. Goth that has 2, so they are also flinging 5 dice. And they got 3 pain and no kills. That is so frustrating. So this guy has to retreat 1 space, so he'll retreat back to here with the other stars. And it's either abandon the gate. Yeah, well, we want to abandon the gate. We'll move this guy back here. So it's quite the pack. That's all the retreating done. That's the end of Cthulhu's turn. We're over to the goat. He's at 0. There's nothing he can do. So the the decay counter cranks up to 1. So when Cthulhu goes, it immediately eats his last point. So that's the end of the turn. And we move on to the gain power portion. So it's currently a tie at 12 to 12. Interestingly, the person who was first player last turn gets to decide who goes first. So the goat's going to say, or actually it was Cthulhu who went first last time, so Cthulhu's going to go first this time too. We will not do a Ritual of Annihilation either, which probably should, but don't want to. So Cthulhu is up. Spend 1 to capture this cultist because he's all by himself with a star spawn. And over to the goat, who is going to 1 to move this guy over here. Well, it's still the same spot, so we can move him up to here. We'll give it a try. Cthulhu and his 2 cronies are going to move up here. It's cost him 3 power, but that's okay. He's going to spend 1 and move this cultist back over to here to take over the gate. So we will happily eat the other cultist. That was dumb. I forgot about him being able to do that more than once for 1 more. And now we're back over to put a gate up. Oh, actually, this guy can do it too, so we will have him do it, because he cannot be kidnapped. So we will use 1 to trigger the star spawn to move over to here. We're going to use 1 to move this guy off to take over this gate, because they can do that too now. Same as starting him, which will cause Cthulhu on his next turn to activate a fight before everybody leaves. So, in a hugely lopsided fight, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dice for Cthulhu, and 2 dice? Yes, 2 dice. So it's 11 to 2. So I'm sure this will go great. For the black goat, they get 1 pain. So 3 more dice, and 3 kills. So we won't give him the other cultist, we'll let the cultist get killed, so he goes back to the pool. And then one of these guys and one of these guys. The person doing the attacking, so one guy has to retreat. So this guy will retreat to here because there's space. And there's only one guy left to retreat for the other team, so he'll retreat over to here. And that's the end of the fight. Now, because Team Cthulhu chewed up some actual monsters, you get Doom equal to their power, which in this case is 1 for each, because the other guys are 0, so are the cultists. So Cthulhu picks up 2 Doom for that fight. So he goes up to 4. And Team Black Goat is going to burn 3 to have another portal open. We can move a cultist up to here. Let's see, 1, 2. If you go from here, still even more. So this guy's going to have to move into this area, but he's protected by the star spawn. And then on his next turn, he can just hop into the bay there. So back to the goat, who is going to spend 1 to summon a cultist. Well, actually, he should probably spend 1 to summon one of these guys again, just to protect himself. And Cthulhu will spend 1 to move this cultist into the water and then let him take control of that gate. And now back to the goat, who is going to spend 0 to summon this guy. And now back to Cthulhu, who needs to, and he activate, I forgot, he killed 2, so he gets to activate his, and that spellbook from Waking Cthulhu. Good Lord, I am behind. Submerge. If Cthulhu is in an ocean or sea area, remove him from the map and place him on your faction card, along with any or all of your units in the area. Later, as a 0-cost action, you can pop him in wherever. We'll use this one, which is during the gather power phase. If Cthulhu is in play, gain 1 power for each enemy-controlled gate. So there, we were only behind by 1 book. We'll move Cthulhu and the star spawn up to here, where he will tip over and clobber everybody. So he will spend 1 point, 7, to move this guy to here, and back to Cthulhu, who will use his last point to trigger another combat. 6 plus 3 versus 3. So 9 to 3. So that's 2 kills, which is all they have. So that's going to kill both of them. And the 3 for the goat is 1 pain. So these guys are both killed, and they have a combined power of 3. So that's 3 more Doom for Cthulhu, who's going to spend his last point to move this dude out into this area. And that's the end of the round because everybody's out of power. So now we go to gather power. So we go on to first player's obviously Cthulhu, onto the Doom phase, which triggers his last spellbook, which is if Shoggoth is president, eliminate one of your monsters, add 3 dice to the Shoggoth strength. Probably the least useful ability. And Cthulhu will absolutely trigger a Ritual of Annihilation for 7. which will drop it to 8. So he gets Doom equal to the number of gates he controls, which is still 3. Right, Ritual Marker Advanced. Advance your Doom token for each gate you control. Gain 1 Elder Sign for each of your faction Great Old Ones in play. So 3 more points. So he goes from 7 to 10, and we pick up 1 Elder Sign because Great Cthulhu is in play. And that's that. So we will spend 1 to move this star spawn down to here. 1, 2, make sure he doesn't get eaten. This deep one over to here to protect that guy. Summon a cultist, because we gotta get these guys back out again. For 1, down to 5, submerge. So he can pop out wherever he feels like later. We need to summon more people. So for 2, we'll bring out one of these guys again and drop him right here. Cthulhu will summon a Shoggoth for 2, down to 3, just to drop him out here to keep the home turf safe. Then 1 again to move this guy to Arkham. And 1 to move to, oh, actually he doesn't have to. You could have that guy do it. And these are all in a shared space. So he's gonna move up to there and threaten that guy. He's controlled, so he's gonna have to spend 1 to move this guy in. At least keeps him safe. So we will move this cultist to here for 1. He's sharing a space with this guy, but he's protected by the deep one, so they can't be eaten. So down 1 to go here. That's now 7 locations, but it's just not going to happen for him for a 0 cost action. Let's see, Cthulhu is going to drop right into here. Let's see. It's still their action. You only get 1, so that's their action. Now it's back to the goat, who will try and move again and move this guy up because they're all going to die anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They almost made it. Cthulhu, with their last action, is going to activate a battle right there. Although he doesn't need to because all that's left is a cultist. So rather than battle, they're just going to eat the cultist. And they're down to 0. And the goat will use 1 to summon a cultist, I guess. He can't summon him to those empty ones, but he can drop him here. And that will end the round. Okay, at this point, I think I'm going to call it. I think I made some mistakes. First of all, Cthulhu has 5 extra points, so that puts him at 15 to the black goat's 2 points of power. Now, there's still quite a bit of time left on the Ritual of Annihilation, so the black goat can spread out, get more gates, and Cthulhu is going to spend most of the rest of the game running around stomping him. But the big mistake was, I think, that I made, as far as the black goat's powers, is I should have put these 2 library spell books about sooner. If he's in, if you summon the big guy during the Doom phase, you can eliminate one of your cultists to gain an Elder Sign, so you can just start picking up points every time. That's completely out of your opponent's control. You can just burn and churn on your own to keep sucking those up. And it only costs 1 to summon another cultist out, so you're good that way. And the Groth, for 2, it costs 2 to do the action, and you can just basically nuke your opponent's cultists based on the die roll of how many they have to get rid of each round. So you can, within one round, purge your opponent of every cultist they have, which will rob them of a lot of power, and that'll give you more time to spread your stuff out or gang up on Cthulhu if you need to. So there is a path for the black goat to win. I just played it wrong, basically, because this is a resounding victory for Cthulhu in this case, but that's because it's the first game, and I did not follow good strategies for the black goat. I basically played him completely backwards for how you should play him. He's the Black Goat's effectively the Zerg, and Great Cthulhu's like Space Marines versus the Zerg. So, gotta respect the Swarm. So there you have it. Like I said, I played it wrong, but I like the game. I can see the strategy is definitely different between teams, but that's one of the charms of the Cthulhu Wars game. It's extremely asymmetric play, teams. I'm pretty sure there's expansions for this. I'll definitely have to try picking one or two of them up to see how it plays with the other ones. It's an awesome two-player, somewhat fighting game, somewhat resource management game. Overall, I like it a lot, though. It's very interesting, very thematic. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm Ray. This is TinyTableGames. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Sorry I didn't play optimally for my first game of it, but it certainly is cool. And I'll see you next time. This is definitely staying on the shelf. Have a good day.